regenerate a Farm Sim 19 piece of equipment into Farm Sim 22 to take advantage, to take the time to take a model that I've already created. This model, it's all ready to go. All I need to do is update it for the new version of the game and the new capabilities of the graphics and everything else. And I kind of like that. The AGCO 1000 tractor, which I used in Farm Sim 17 as a challenger, I also used in Farm Sim 19, and it was released very, very early in the life cycle of Farm Sim 19. It's also available in Farm Sim 22, but it looks like, unfortunately, the modder did not take the time to really bring it into figure out what buttons to press, did not bring it up to Farm Sim 22 graphic standards. So the model looks a bit naff. And I did use it briefly, but I decided it doesn't look the greatest. I'm not going to use this model for this playthrough. And I got rid of it very, very quickly. I think we used the Zerion 3000, which I think is Smetty, CMT software. He tends to do a very good job with all of his mods, and he keeps his modelling current with the current version of Farming Simulator. But most of his stuff is either 1910s, sorry, 2010, 2000s class, or Fent. Some of his Fents go back to the 1990s. So if you like Fent tractors or you like class tractors, then Smetty is your guy. Black Sheep Modding does very, very good mods as well. He's not very fast, or his team is not very fast, but they're worth waiting for. They've just updated their range of John Deere 40 series tractors, which are on the old side, but they work so well with Oldstream Farm. Or the Oldstream Farm. I don't know, if the Oldstream Farm Expanded comes out early for Farm Sim 25, I might do a long-term let's play of that one. So I have enjoyed playing that map so much, and it's not like it's not a bad map. You are limited, you're not going to be driving around in 500 horsepower quad tracks anytime soon, because it's a small map with small fields, but the ambience that you get from playing that map is it's designed as a small province town in France, I believe, and that's what it feels like playing the map. And that's kind of what draws me to a lot of the maps. Now, I've lived in America for coming up on 25 years now that I've been here. But I still, I tend to avoid playing American farms because they tend to be very big, and I've watched some of the more casual YouTubers playing or streaming on Twitch or YouTube for that matter, the big American farms, and they've got their starting equipment and they've got their 50-acre field, or at least that's what it feels like, and then it takes them like 3 hours to harvest the field, and then it takes them another 3 hours to bale all the straw, and you feel like I've been watching this video series for like 3 weeks and we're still on the first harvest in the first field, and I kind of get bored watching that, and I think everybody else, you know, a lot of other people will probably get bored with that sort of thing anyway, which is why I prefer the smaller stuff. Railroader, we had a couple of streams this week, day 9. So yesterday evening stream, because Mrs. Osa's out of town, so I can do what I want. We did... I'd actually, the Tuesday stream, we delivered the very last Bryson Bridge repair train. So yesterday we shipped that back to the exchange at Whittier. We ordered the Alaka Y repair train because I want to run my trains forwards when I can. So passenger train with the locomotive at the front facing the right way. Without the Y at Alaka Junction, you can't do that. Although I could, no, you can't even run round without the Y. So I wanted to get the Y done. So as soon as the bridge was complete, I ordered the Y repair train, and I ordered an early drop at Whittier. So we got that delivered at 7:30 or 7 o'clock, something like that. I think it was 7:30, and then hauled that all the way through to Alaka Junction. And of course I don't really like playing at night time because it's dark and you can't see the scenery and everything else. But I set that off on the G26. I dropped one of the G16s was dealing with the other cars that arrived. There was one for Stenzel, 2 for the sawmill, and 1 for Ela House. So I had the little mogul that I'm using mostly on sawmill stuff to deal with those 4 cars and some collections. And then when the G26 got into Bryson, I really wasn't, I was looking at it and thinking, I really don't think this is going to make it up the Bryson grade. So I slapped the other small mogul on the front, which is now based out at Bryson. And we double-headed it over the hill, and they did wonders. So got the Alaka Y delivered, 4 o'clock in the morning, that was complete. And next stream, which may be this evening, is going to be day 10. Alaka Junction is open. I am not hauling a repair train for Alaka branch anytime soon until I've been able to afford a much larger locomotive to haul those up the hill. And I probably still have to double head it. I did take out a tier 3 contract with Robinson Gap Coal. So now we get to see if the G16 can haul the empties out of Bryson and haul full loads back into Bryson. I suppose hauling loads back into Bryson, there is the concern that it might not have the traction to be able to hold a 1,000-ton coal train to reasonable speeds. Well, we'll find out, I guess. I can now run passenger trains in the correct formation between Alaka Junction and Whittier, so that's going to pick up. And then I've got the 2 smaller moguls just running local traffic at Bryson and Whittier as needed. And since the big mogul's going to be hauling coal trains out to Alaka Junction, I may do a little bit more mixed traffic work or with the Atlantic and haul the odd freight car or 10 with the passengers as it runs between Bryson and Whittier. Because I can use one of the small moguls to collect all the cars and put them in Bryson. And then when I get to Whittier, I can just drop them off at Whittier and have the small mogul there go pick them up and take them to the exchange, and vice versa. But I think we're doing quite well at the moment. I am down to, actually I think I might have $2,000, because we made $2,000 from log shipments to the sawmill. But I probably want to look for a big, the Mikado's a 35,000 tractive effort, or there's the Decapod or the middle Constellation may become our next targeted big locomotive to do really heavy stuff and get maybe the Alaka branch opened up. We'll just have to see how well the big mogul does with coal, because that could be a very limiting problem. It may end up that I end up running the G26 up and down the line almost constantly. Just dropping stuff at Bryson that needs to go to Bryson, heading out to Alaka Junction, picking up half a coal train, bringing it back, picking up some empties from Bryson potentially, although we might skip that, and then rinse and repeat for the day. Because so long as you get everything delivered before the end of the day, you get a full bonus. So it doesn't matter if I drop stuff off at Bryson at 6 o'clock in the morning and get it all delivered by 7:30, or whether I drop it off at 5 o'clock in the evening and get it delivered by 6:30. Yeah, I'm not very experienced with that wheel arrangement. British Railways, 10-wheelers were initially your big mixed traffic locomotives, so they would haul the sort of semi-fast passenger trains and a lot of the freight, and replaced the moguls on those jobs. Pacifics tended to be your fast or semi-fast passenger trains, and by around the 1920s, sometimes a couple of years earlier, Constellations were used on the super heavy freight, so things like a 1,000-ton coal train would be hauled by a Constellation. We didn't get our decapods until 1960s, late 1950s, under British Railways. But Mikado and wheel configuration, not really a thing. We did have a couple of 080s and a couple of Garretts that we used on the really, really steep lines. Because you didn't need the guiding wheel. They were usually used to bank, which is push the train from the back. Because that's kind of convenient. You just hitch up the heavy at the back of the train and push, and when you get to the top of the hill you unhitch it and the train can just continue without messing around, and then the banker will just go back down to the bottom and wait for the next one. But I might look at the Mikado. I'm not sure that a 35,000 tractive effort is going to be quite sufficient, but I'm willing to give it a try. I mean, it's cheaper than a Decapod or the mid-sized Constellation. I'm definitely not using a small Constellation, because that has similar tractive effort to the big Mogul that we're running. So why do I, unless I need another locomotive in that size power range, comes back to the farming simulator thing. I don't, I need at least two of the biggest thing I have. Currently the biggest thing I have is the G26, so maybe it's a good idea to have another one in that horsepower range, but we're still looking to expand the railway's capabilities, so I'm kind of erring towards something in the 40,000 tractive effort. I'm also thinking that the diesel switcher might be a good locomotive to buy as a switcher for Alaka when I open the Alaka branch. And possibly down at Silver have a switcher as well. They're very fuel efficient, and quite powerful. So they're good for moving things around from at least the Silver Exchange out to Dillsborough, or servicing the silver paper industry. And again, down at Alaka, you've got the copper mines, which do need a little bit of horsepower to get up the hill with the tools cars. But still, I think that the guy who's working on Railroader, he's doing a very good job, and he takes his time between major releases of updated stuff, and he's very reactive to issues that he may have introduced when he releases a big update. So you may get a big update, but as soon as people start reporting errors, he's on those pretty much immediately, and he'll be patching those within hours sometimes. I know one of the big releases I wasn't actively playing at the time. I bought the game 7 months ago, and I played a massive just exploratory playthrough that I didn't stream, but with the latest update I decided, I've got the time in the evening, I can stream this on occasion, and I want to play the game through and see all the things that have changed. But in that intervening, I think it was probably about 2 months ago, he did a major release and 2 patches in the same day to fix issues that were found. So definitely one of the more conscientious programmers out there. Unlike some gaming houses that produce really bad games and take years to patch them, if ever, and then give the excuse of, well, in the modern world you've just got to expect bugs to be in the games you buy. Even critical bugs that make the game completely unplayable. And what, you expect us to fix them? So, I do, because I paid, $50 for this game and it doesn't work properly. mean, if I bought a car and the engine fell out when I turned the radio on, I would not be happy, and there would be legal ramifications. But you know, game manufacturers just seem to think, a lot of them seem to think, they can just get away with producing half-assed work and not answer to the shortcomings. And sadly, a lot of the really good studios get bought out by the big guys and then get closed after they produce their latest game. You have the likes of who is it? Earth and Beyond were EA Games. Oh. EA Games have produced some really good, solid games a long time in the past. And they got into MMOs and decided, oh, this looks like a really good way of making money. You had, at that time, you had Evercrest, the first version, and, what was Lord British's game? I can't remember, but I did play that as well. And they decided, look, we write a game and people play it in perpetuity. And unfortunately, they realised there needs to be a story that people can play. And then they figured out, we have to pay programmers and designers to write stories and to keep people's interest. Well, to heck with that. And once you eliminate the sort of the ongoing story in the game, the only thing that's left to do is go out, kill a bunny, take its ears, hand it back to a dude in town, get paid, get another job, go and kill 20 bunnies, and bring back their paws and give them to another guy in town. And it's like, I'm just going out slaying rabbits. This isn't fun. And part of the thing with MMOs is having the multiplayer aspect. So you need a good design for either guild or town community. The ability to create teams on the fly, so you can go and say, hey, I want to go into this, for want of a better word, dungeon or whatever. Who wants to go with me? I'm a tank. I'm looking for a healer, I'm looking for some DPS. Yeah, and you sit on a queue and wait for people to respond, and as soon as you got your team together, you all group up and go slay the dragon or whatever. But if they don't give you that functionality, the game is not going to work well. Where you have crafters, you need to have a functional ability to sell stuff when you're not there. It's something that Star Wars Galaxies, on release, you could make stuff and sell it at an automated vendor, but you could only sell like 20 things, and then you would have to take something off the vendor in order to put something new on the vendor. Or you could train as a merchant and buy a house and stick a vendor in it, and you could have 100 things on your vendor. My characters made one of my characters made a lot of money building starfighters and astromech droids. I mean, I was just hauling in ungodly amounts of money, and I wasn't even trying. And for the starfighters, I wasn't even using the best materials because it really didn't make a lot of difference. But you could make a ton of money And it was hard work. It was a second job, just keeping my vendors stocked up with the starfighters and guns and shields and engines and all the rest of it. But if there isn't that mechanism in the game, I played Earth and Beyond, which was an EA game, that wasn't available. You had to stand around in starports shouting, hey, I've got a thing for sale, who wants one? And see if you got customers. The only other way to do it was to be in a guild where someone would come into the guild chat and say, hey, I'm looking for a big shield for my my warrior's ship. And usually there would be a player there which had someone who could make shields. And so, hang on a minute, I'll just check. I'll just sign on to my alt and I'll grab you a shield and sell it to you. But, you couldn't have your own vendors in that game. There wasn't automated vendors in that game. So the game died because the non-guild community just couldn't support itself. And that's kind of unfortunate. EverQuest 2, you could set up a vendor. You could make armor, stick it on your vendor, and people would turn up at your house and buy the stuff you made.